Welcome back to Portugal Muse in Central Portugal. We're going to pick up where we left off last week and continue with our question and answer session.
Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Okay, how did you get a car in Portugal? Well, we just went and bought one.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful because they're usually quite worn out if you can afford them.
If you can't afford them.
What you think is high mileage in the UK is low mileage here. But they don't go rotten. That's a big difference.
The rest.
There's no rock salt used. Well, very, very rarely.
Yeah.
So they're not rotten. You can buy a car from the mid-90s, late 80s even, and there's no rot on them. Practically everything's rotten in the UK, car-wise. They are expensive for what you get, but then once you've got it, you sell it for a similar figure. So it's the initial outlay, that's the problem. They're often quite tatty though. The roads are very narrow, so most cars have got scrapes and dents in them. That's just normal. Don't bother getting them fixed because you just do it again. What else would you say about it? There is a thing, when you register a car, you have to go to the conservatoria, the notaria, or one of the shops like AutoFit that does it for you. Some car dealerships will do the registration for you. I think it's about €65, which you don't have to pay to register a car in the UK, but you do here, and the buyer is responsible for paying the registration fee. And instead of a V5 paper document, you will get a small slip of paper temporarily. Don't think that's your registration document like we did, we made a mistake of that. And because the stamp on it will expire quite soon, but you will receive in the post a small plastic card that looks like a driving licence, but it's called Certificado de Matricula,
yeah.
and that's your registration for the vehicle.
That means you legally own.
You legally own the vehicle.
And if you break the law,
they take it away from you, don't they?
Like I did. They take it away from you, and until you pay the fine.
Yeah, you must keep your documents in the car, and they must be produced
when you get stopped.
So you need your Certificado de Matricula, which is your registration, your insurance certificate, which has a small square which must be displayed in the windscreen. You need to keep that in the car, and also the IPO, EPO as it is in Portuguese. You must keep that in the car. The small square on that used to have to be displayed in the windscreen. You no longer have to display it, but you can do if you want. But they must be with you in the car, along with a high-vis vest for every occupant of the car. So don't just put one in there if you're carrying passengers. You need one for each occupant, and a triangle. Is there anything else you're supposed to take? I don't know about.
I don't know. The question was, how did you get a car in Portugal?
Just bought one.
You just bought one?
Marketplace.
Well, I thought it was Marketplace. The Citroen came from a car dealership.
You did. Wasn't that on Marketplace though? I'm pretty sure it was.
And the Fiesta, a friend sold it to us. So
Fiesta? No, they didn't.
Not,
the Astra.
Astra.
Yeah, we brought the Astra from a friend.
Right, next question. If money wasn't an issue, would you still choose Central Portugal? Okay, so we looked at Italy and France as European countries that we might want to move to, but we came to Portugal on our wedding anniversary with Dave's sons, and we had the best time here. So we started looking at properties in Portugal, and we found that Central Portugal was by far the cheapest place to buy a property.
Yeah.
Like by far.
Had to be for our budget.
So for our budget, we've found ourselves here in Central Portugal, in rural Central Portugal, where we've been able to find everything we want for a really small budget. Now, if money wasn't an issue, would we still be here?
Well, that's the impossible one to answer for me, really. I love it here. I probably would. Now I know what I know.
I'd still be here as well.
Yeah.
But I do love France.
If money was no issue, I'd have houses in other places, but still keep this one.
Yeah, I love Florence. So Florence is very close to
Florence is beautiful, but I think I'd just go there on holiday though, like we already did.
Yeah.
The Portuguese people are lovely.
You can't put a price on like how nice the people are here. So a lot of the things that are priceless in Portugal, Portuguese people, the beauty of the place, the weather, it's like all those things you can't put a price on. So I do think we've happily landed in the right place, even if money wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oculus. What is driving like in Portugal? I'm getting all the car one. What is driving like in Portugal? So many people will say Portuguese drivers are very dangerous. They tailgate. I worked driving in London for 20 years, so for me they're much better than in the UK. But not everyone's going to have that experience. I've found Portuguese drivers to be just the same as anywhere else, really. I don't have an issue. It's so much better because here we don't get traffic.
It's so quiet on the roads. It's so nice.
I spent many years of my life stuck in traffic.
Same, I did as well.
Just sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
When I was a motorcycle courier, I was knocked off by people driving very badly many, many, many times. When I was driving in the van, I had people smashing into the van. But I just find it I actually find it much safer here.
I love that there's no traffic.
Yeah.
And I love that you have the option of paying the tolls and getting somewhere really quick. So if you've got, a plane that you're catching, or you want to get somewhere really fast, you can pay the tolls and get there really fast.
Yeah, there's no traffic on the motorways at all.
But if you want to take the more leisurely route,
which we do,
you don't have to pay the tolls. It just takes a bit longer. So you've got two options.
Yeah. Well, I love driving here.
It's beautiful, it's scenic.
Yeah.
Okay. Has living in Portugal changed you? For me, completely. I am a very, very different person to the person I was when I came here. For me personally, I left the UK because I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy in the UK. I wasn't happy with how I had been treated by my employer. I wasn't happy with how incredibly hard you had to work and you still felt like you weren't getting anywhere. But I had been brought up to be incredibly high achieving and to work constantly. Even in my spare time, I was encouraged to be always achieving, always progressing, always working, always, getting a bigger house, selling that house, getting another bigger house.
Very materialistic, isn't it, in the UK?
I was brought up to be very materialistic and I was very unhappy. And then I met Dave. And Dave is sort of like your salt of the earth, genuine, enjoy life sort of person, but then you've also
not materialistic in the slightest.
Not materialistic in the slightest, but Dave has also literally worked
my
socks off so hard. So we've
just to keep my head above water.
So we've both just worked so hard our whole lives, and we sort of reassessed after we got married what we wanted, and I really felt like I wasn't happy in the UK. And we'd already moved from London to North Wales to try and achieve a better work-life balance, which was better for you.
Better for me, but not for you. Yours was worse.
My circumstances got considerably worse in North Wales. So we decided, let's just try Europe and see if living in Europe is actually different to living in the UK. Because you have all these ideas when you come here on holiday that people in Europe live differently, and is the reality of that true? And the reality of that is very true.
But it's different to what you think, though.
It's
very different.
It is different to what you think, but it is so much better.
It's a lot better.
It's so much better living here if you want to have a better quality of life. And we're still of a working age. But we've managed to buy our house outright with cash, so we've got no mortgage, and we're quite frugal. So we managed to keep our outgoings quite low,
Which you can do here.
Which you can do
You
here.
can't do that in the UK.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So we have found that we have such a better quality of life here.
Yes.
And has Portugal changed me? 100%. I'm no longer sort of a mouse on a wheel in the rat race wanting materialistic things. I am a much happier, calmer person since we moved to Portugal. And you're just the same old Dave, but just enjoying the sunshine.
I am the same, and I'm also not the same. I've learnt so much since I've been here. So much.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Portugal fulfills things for me that could never be fulfilled in the UK. I've learnt so much from Portuguese people.
They're lovely. They're so nice.
They've changed. Well, working in London, I think I was a very stressy person. And Portuguese people are always saying to me, my work colleagues, friends, calmer, slow down, ease up, there's no rush, amanhã, can be done tomorrow. And yeah, that's so good for your health, your mental health, your physical health. Just take your foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah, and it'll still get
Enjoy
done.
life. Yeah, it's still going to get done. You're here, there's no rush.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, go on.
Is it my go again?
I think so. Wait, 4? No.
It's your go.
It's my go.
No, you just did it. Has it changed you?
Oh,
Yeah.
go next then.
What is the weather like in Central Portugal? Well, it's a whole lot better than in the UK. Now, there is a few misconceptions. People sometimes think that it's like a Mediterranean country, or it is a Mediterranean country. It absolutely isn't. It's on the Atlantic seaboard. We have Atlantic storms rolling fairly regularly. Climate change is unfortunately badly affecting Portugal. Every year there is record temperatures, record droughts, and then record flooding, record rainfall, which causes severe fires in the summer, flooding in the winter. But the weather can be absolutely glorious. Unfortunately, the extra rainfall that we get in the winter is kind of mitigating the droughts in the summer, kind of. Not so much in the Algarve, sadly for them. They have got quite severe water shortages at times. In central Portugal, we don't really get water shortages. This mountain that we're living on is like a Swiss cheese. It's full of holes. The water never stops coming out of it. It can get very hot in the summer, and some inland areas, particularly in Alentejo, Castelo Branco, those sorts of places, the temperature can get unbearably hot for quite considerable amounts of time. Where we are, it's not too bad. We went up to what, for us, it just about hit 50 here, didn't it? Officially 48, but that lower down, it's not quite as hot as up the top because we get longer days because the sun's not blocked by anything. Something that's interesting that we didn't realise, many people don't realise, it's generally warmer on the top of the mountain, isn't it? We don't get frosts.
It's different to North Wales.
Yeah, so when you go up high, it's cold. Here, people say to us, oh, it must be cold up there because we live very high up.
It's a sun. Where we are is like a sun trap.
That's the thing to get used to, isn't it? The microclimates.
So the mist and the clouds fall into the valley.
The cold air slides down the mountain, and the warm air comes up. We drive down the mountain from here,
and we go through the clouds.
And it will go into frost. So during the winter, it was showing 6-7 degrees in the car. Yeah. You get a little bit down the mountain, it gets down to freezing, and then get down to the bottom by Miranda, -2, -3.
So it's quite nice here.
Yeah, but even from here to the river beach, a few minutes walk away, the weather's different, the temperatures are different.
In terms of the whole of Portugal though, I would say that where we are has the nicest weather.
Yeah.
Because it's fairly stable. We have seasons.
We have proper seasons.
Which is nice. The summer is amazing. I love the hot weather.
Yeah, I love the hot weather. You need to be prepared that the winter can be long and wet.
Cold.
Yeah. Because, unless you have a fully renovated, restored, insulated house or a brand new house, it's not going to have an awful lot of protection against the cold. But it is designed to keep the heat out. A good salamander is good, isn't it? It keeps it nice and warm.
If you've got a log burner, you're all right.
You're all right, yeah. You need to ventilate the houses to keep the damp out.
Yeah.
It can be very humid, can't it? And it can cause a few damp problems.
Yeah.
But the summers are gorgeous. Oh my God.
It's gorgeous now and it's spring.
This is a weird thing. The thing with Portuguese weather is like one day it might be cold and wet and windy. Following day you're going to get really bad sunburn. It's like you need 2 sets of clothes all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
Even on the same day it can turn.
But it's more predictable than the UK. Like
Yeah.
I'm much happier living here in this weather.
Don't get all the howling gales.
Than in the UK.
Oh yeah, I'm much
The
happier.
weather is much better.
Yeah.
Okay. Whose go is it?
It's yours.
What is crime like in Portugal?
What crime?
Since I got here.
Criminal.
It's so much safer here.
Yeah, it's very safe.
So Dave used to live in Luton, and he moved from Luton to my flat in St Albans, and then we moved from St Albans to Wales. And I remember you had a mixer,
Cement mixer.
and you were really worried about leaving that in our garden in North Wales, and I was like, you don't need to worry. So Dave was super like hyper alert with crime from living in Luton, working in London, and I was like, once we moved to North Wales, I was like, you can relax a bit. And then when both of us moved to Portugal, we've both been able to relax.
Yes.
So much
it's
more.
strange.
Like, you are so safe here.
One of the safest, isn't it, in the top 3 safest countries in the world?
But I think it's to do with the people. Like, the people have like a conscience.
Moral conscience. The shame of anyone being a criminal.
Anyone doing anything bad.
Yeah.
So even if like people.
And also the GNR are pretty scary.
The GNR are scary, but it's not that. I think if people are struggling here,
They help each other.
there are systems in place for people to get help.
Even from the local camera.
Even with like drug addiction, it's considered to be
Medical.
It's not a criminal offence. So if you think the things that drive people to crime in the UK, there's such little safety nets now.
Yeah. These problems have been addressed here.
And I just think in the UK, and I'm sorry I'm really poo-pooing the UK, it's reactive. So problems are allowed to happen, and then they try and be reactive, but it's not very successful. What I found with Portugal is it's proactive.
Yeah.
So
And
preventative. So a lot of the stuff is stamped out before it even has a chance to happen, and I think that goes a long way to explain why crime isn't a problem here, and we feel so safe.
Yeah.
I feel safe as a woman. I feel safe here on my own. Our possessions feel safe. I don't even have to worry about like my purse or my handbag when we're in a city.
No one's snatching it, are they?
Nothing like that.
I got you working. I used to walk around holding onto my wallet and holding onto my phone because someone will have them out your pocket otherwise.
In London?
In London, yeah.
Well, I used to work at Liberty in central London, and we were trained to spot pickpocketers, and they were
And there's a lot.
and
They were good.
they were professional.
Yeah.
And that just seems so alien to me now. So is there a problem with crime in Central Portugal?
Well, you don't know things like.
I'm sure there's crime.
When I
here,
worked
but
in London, you'd have like what they would call steam gangs,
yeah.
where they would rush a shop, loads of them, steal everything and rush out, or they'd rob a group of people. Never ever hear of anything like that. You don't see cars reversing through shop fronts to steal the ATM. This was really common.
It feels safe here, but we're rural Portugal, and it feels.
But when you go in the city, though, I still feel safe.
It's very safe here.
Yeah.
Last one.
Last one. How come there's this odd number then? Set me up here. Can't read it. How is learning Portuguese? Essential. If you want to have a good experience here, really. A much better. Well, I say a good experience. A much better experience. It's much better. It's respectful to Portuguese people. You'll get through the bureaucracy so much easier. You'll find living here so much more enjoyable if you can learn Portuguese. And back to that word respect again, it is respectful to learn the language.
How have you found learning Portuguese?
By far the best way is to spend your time with Portuguese people, is to integrate. That's so important.
But is it difficult?
It's not as difficult as Welsh.
Okay.
Welsh was much more difficult.
Oh.
You hit it's a struggle, and then you hit a certain point where it just falls into place.
Yeah.
If you're making an effort and you can learn some very basic Portuguese people are very patient with you and will help, and they'll maybe gently correct you, or they'll be a lot happier to try and use their English. If you make no effort whatsoever, you're probably going to get a blank face and not much of a good reception. Well, we've had Portuguese lessons with Inês. She's very, very good.
Very good.
But I would definitely recommend face-to-face lessons if you can. Some cameras provide free lessons, but I think they're quite intensive if you've got time to do that. They're quite lengthy.
What's your app?
Memrise.
You like Memrise.
I'm using Memrise.
I'm using Duolingo, and I really like it.
Yeah.
And I've turned a corner recently.
Massively turned a corner.
And I'm able to have conversations with people now in Portuguese, which I haven't been able. So this is our 4th year.
Yeah.
So up until now, Dave has been able to have conversations with people, and I just know the words. But of late, I can understand people and speak to people in Portuguese, and for me, it was like quite emotional. It was like this real
revelation.
It was wonderful. It was a turning point where it was like, oh, finally, like I feel at home.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I think if you can learn the language, you'll finally feel at home, which is really important.
Yeah. I'm at a point now where I understand.
You're really
more.
good.
Sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to think about what I need to say, but I'm fine. I can have conversations in Portuguese. I work with Portuguese people that speak no English whatsoever and manage absolutely perfectly okay.
So thank you so much for listening to our Q&A. If you've got any questions about anything we've spoken about, please comment below, and we'll try and answer any questions that you have. I'll also drop some links in the description for anything that we've discussed in this video. So for now, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.